not get married to a 56-year-old man. I won't be doing that. I'd rather die than do that. Hello, guys. My name is El Mary, aka Niger Mandela, and like I promised to be dropping inspiring stories of African women or global women at large, creating a change in the society who have experienced firsthand having their right taken away from them and deciding to advocate for other women not to go through what they did, or creating a safe space for other women to be able to express themselves and tell their stories. Today's inspiring woman focus is Mercy Akuot, or the delectable Mrs. Mercy Akuot, a 15-year-old South Sudanese girl who had her work rocked upside down when her father told her she won't be going to school. Mercy Akuot was excited during the festive period, had fun with friends and cousins, and even met a boy around her age. Was excited to see where that led. But on the fateful January when the schools were supposed to resume, Mercy Akuot's father told her she wouldn't be returning to school. Perplexed by this information, she asked her dad, why wouldn't I be going to school? And he stated that she was going to get married. Pause back. Think about when you were 15-year-old. What were you doing? I'm thinking about it now, and I'm saying I was somewhat in my senior secondary school years, dependent on my father and mother for almost everything. What was expected of me alone was just to eat, to sleep, get good grades, and, further my studies. But then a 15-year-old girl who was drawn out of school and forced to get married. It was a tale of determination and resilience, because she fought and told her father she was going to return back to school. Eventually, it seemed like he conceded and told her, if you want to go to school, then you have to go back to Uganda with your mother. The next morning, determined to go back to school and become a lawyer like she always wanted to be, Mercy Akuot dressed up, picked her younger cousin who was in the same school with her, and decided to go back. Her father told her uncle would be the driver of that same car. Thinking nothing of it, she decided to go. Mind you, most parents, who do these things, they don't do them because they do not love their children, but they've become a slave to society or culture that hold them down and tell them this is how you should be. Girls should be given off to marriage at this age. So they didn't know better. They weren't enlightened. And that is why this story comes to you, to enlighten you, so that you go by to enlighten other people and change the narrative for once, so that every other girl will be free and have autonomy over themselves, their body, and what they want to do. Going to school, getting married, whatever they choose to do, there should be that right to choose. Going back to my story, Miss Akuot followed her uncle with her cousin down, and they were almost in Uganda, but the uncle decided to take a break. Stopped in a hotel. She was somewhat scared, but then she saw her mother and was comfortable. Miss Akuot, in her words, said her uncle got 2 rooms for her and her little cousin, and her mother and her uncle went to the other room to discuss. A few minutes later, her mom came out and left. And just a few seconds after her mom left, her uncle went into her room and told her, your mother has told me to do whatever I want to do with you, and I plan to do that. She started fidgeting, cursing, and saying, no, that's not going to happen. Imagine having your mom say that. What will be running through your mind? She fought, but her uncle, determined to get what he thought he deserved.
The next thing I heard was a hit of a gun at the back of my head. The monster stripped me and assaulted me.
Mercy Akuot knew if she did not do something, this was going to be the story for the rest of her life. And being enlightened, even just to secondary school level, Mercy Akuot told him, oh yes, uncle, I've conceded. I'm going to get married to you. Stepped out to the supermarket and found a familiar face there, a woman who was, a family friend to her mother. Told her the whole story. And the woman extended so much grace to her and decided to hide her. She stayed with the woman for over a month and decided it was time to go back home, since she thought her parents wouldn't be that mad. And by now, they must have understood that she wanted to do what she wanted to do. Going back home, she was met with the same indignation. Her parents insisted she got married to her uncle. She went through a lot. She was taken to the police cell. Her parents said she ran away from the house. A policeman understood the situation, gave her so much grace also, and took her to a foster home, where she stayed for about 4 years, completed her high school education, and also decided it was time to reunite back with her family. But it was another story altogether. She told her father, okay, could we meet at a neutral place? And they chose the Kampala Mall. Going there to see her father, she saw her father with her uncle. And mind you, the uncle should be about 60 plus right now. It was crazy to think that after all these years, these things would have changed. How would it change if you and I don't talk about it? If you and I don't speak about it? They're not going to change. They're going to remain the same. And a lot of girls will go through the system and go through what Mercy Akuot went through. She knew this was not going to change. She decided to run, knowing that her uncle was a violent man. She ran and went to Kenya, where she was accommodated into a refugee camp. Now, those whole stories brought us to this moment. Who is Mercy Akuot? She's an activist, a mother, a singer, a TEDx speaker who, did so much work in her refugee camp, created a safe space for other women to speak, became a safe space for other women who went through the same thing she went through, probably ran away from home and decided to seek shelter in that camp. She turned around that camp for good, aiding women, empowering women, releasing songs that would cater to, the feelings of women, creating so much positive environment for them to thrive. Today, I'm telling the story of Mercy Akuot. That could easily be you or me. That could easily be a girl from northern Nigeria. That could easily be a girl from southern Nigeria. That could easily be a girl from north central or eastern Nigeria. But then what makes it different is you and I realizing that we have so much work to do. Because if we do not do this work, these girls will still be rigged into the system. Do not think that because you are free, then you're free. Because like I said, if one woman is not free, then every one of us is not free. Extend that grace to other young women and girls. Speak up for them. Create a safe environment for them to be themselves. And above all, the most important message for me to you today from this story is that women empowerment and women's rights is not a thing to discuss by only women. Every single person has a role to play. And I always say engaging men as agents of change is one of the fastest ways to further this gender equality and access to autonomy for women. Because every woman could easily be your sis, your brother. Every woman could easily be attached to a brother, a husband, a father, something else. One way or the other, we're connected to this man. And if you want to further this right, then engage these men. Let them know that they have a place, they have a role to play. And so now I'm challenging you, every man out there, to realize that gender equality, women empowerment, and women's rights, it is not for just women to talk about. It is for all of us. Because the better the world is for these women, the better they will become for your daughter, your sister, or your wife. Speak up today when you see something and be inspired by our inspiring Mercy Akuot. Till next time again, when I bring you the next story or inspiring focus of the day. But until then, if you want to see the full interview or story of Mercy Akuot, then beneath this video, I will be dropping the link to her TEDx interview where she gave a whole story, what she went through, an extra jara that I probably did not add in this video. But until then, stay inspiring.
The future for Mercy is great. And my biggest wish is that all young girls access education. And I want to be an icon in the future in championing for the education of young girls all around the world.